Tycoon left his wife for a mistress. At the gala, he saw her in the lit hallway with their child behind him. Silence. Not peaceful. Not calm. The suffocating kind. The kind that settles after a storm has ripped through a home and left only hollow echoes in its wake. Clara sat on the edge of their bed. Their bed, though it wouldn't be for much longer, folding a child's sweater with trembling hands. It was Theo's favorite, navy blue with little embroidered rockets. He'd worn it every day last winter. She pressed it to her chest for just a second, inhaling the faint scent of his shampoo, of crayons and sleep and innocence. Things that still felt real in a world that was crumbling. She didn't cry. Not yet. Not in front of him. The door creaked open. Small feet padded across the hardwood. Mama Theo stood there in his dinosaur pajamas, clutching Mr. Snuffles, the worn-out teddy bear Alexander had given him on his 3rd birthday. His eyes, so much like his father's, deep, searching, impossibly tender, darted between his mother and the man by the window. Is Daddy leaving? Clara's breath hitched. She turned, forcing a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Daddy's going on a trip, sweetheart. A long trip, she swallowed. Maybe. Alexander didn't turn around. Couldn't. If he looked at his son, really looked, he'd break. And men like him weren't supposed to break. Tycoons didn't crack under guilt. Billionaires didn't sob in front of their children because they'd chosen lust over love, ego over family, illusion over truth. But God, he wanted to. He heard Theo's footsteps approach, felt the small warmth of his presence stop just behind him. Daddy, Alexander closed his eyes. Tight. Yeah, buddy. Are you coming back? The question was so simple, so pure, so devastating. Alexander turned then. Slowly, he knelt. Not because he wanted to, but because his knees betrayed him, buckling under the weight of what he was about to do. He looked into his son's face. 5 years old, round cheeks, a tiny gap between his front teeth. Eyes that still believed in bedtime stories and monsters under the bed and fathers who always came home. His voice cracked. He cleared his throat. Tried again. I don't know, Theo. The boy's lip trembled. But you promised. You promised you'd take me to the planetarium next week. Alexander's chest caved in. I know, buddy. I'm sorry. Clara stepped forward then, her hand resting gently on Theo's shoulder. Her voice was steady, but her knuckles were white. It's okay, love. Mama will take you. We'll go together. Theo looked up at her, then back at his father. But I want Daddy to come too. Silence. Alexander reached out, brushing his thumb over Theo's cheek. The boy leaned into the touch, still trusting, still loving, still unaware that this moment was the last time he'd feel safe in his father's arms. I'll call you, okay, every week. Theo nodded, too young to understand that promises made in goodbyes are the easiest to break. Clara guided him out of the room, whispering something soft about cookies and cartoons. The door clicked shut behind them. Alexander stood, walked back to the window. The bourbon was warm now. He didn't drink it. A minute passed, maybe 2. Then Clara returned. Alone. She didn't look at him. Couldn't. She moved to the closet, pulling out a suitcase. Small, practical. The one she'd bought for weekend trips. Now it would carry the fragments of her old life into a new, uncertain world. You don't have to do this today, Alexander said, voice low. You can stay, until you find something. The apartment's yours. She zipped the suitcase shut. I can't stay where I'm not wanted, Alexander. You're wanted. She turned then. Finally, her eyes, those deep, soulful eyes that once looked at him like he was the answer to every prayer, were empty now. Hollowed out by betrayal. Wanted you left us for her. You packed your things while Theo was at school. You didn't even say goodbye to him. You sent your assistant to drop off the divorce papers. He flinched. I thought it would be easier. Easier for who? Her voice broke. Just a little. For you, because I promise you, Alexander, it wasn't easier for me, and it won't be easier for him. He stepped toward her. Clara, don't. She held up a hand. Don't say you're sorry. Don't say you didn't mean it. Don't say you'll fix it. You made your choice. Sophia Loren, the gala queen, the social climber who whispered in your ear that you were too big for a quiet life, too powerful for a woman who reads poetry and packs lunches and sings lullabies. He opened his mouth, closed it. She was right. Sophia had slithered into his life like smoke under a door. Elegant, intoxicating, dangerous. She told him he was wasting his potential, that Clara was holding him back, that a man like him deserved passion, excitement, a woman who matched his ambition. He believed her, or maybe he just wanted to. "You think she loves you?" Clara asked, voice trembling now. "She loves your name, your money, your power. She doesn't love you, Alexander. Not the way I did. Not the way I still do, even now, even after everything." That shattered him. He reached for her. "Clara," she stepped back. "No, don't touch me. Not after you touched her." He dropped his hand. "I'll make sure you're taken care of," he said hollowly. "Theo too. Whatever you need." She picked up the suitcase. "We don't need your money, Alexander. We need you. And you're not here." She walked to the door, paused. "One day he's going to ask why you left. What do you want me to tell him?" Alexander stared at the floor. "Tell him I was a fool." She nodded. "I'll tell him the truth." And then she was gone. The door clicked shut. Alexander stood there, alone in the echoing silence of the life he'd dismantled. He walked to Theo's room, sat on the tiny bed, picked up a drawing taped to the wall, a stick figure family. Daddy, Mama, Theo, holding hands under a smiling sun. He pressed his forehead to the paper. And for the first time in his adult life, the first time since he'd learned that vulnerability was weakness, Alexander Vance wept. Not loud, not dramatic, quiet, broken sobs that shook his shoulders and left him gasping for air. He cried for the bedtime stories he wouldn't read, for the scraped knees he wouldn't kiss, for the school plays he wouldn't attend, for the man he used to be, before the boardrooms, before the power, before Sophia, before he traded his soul for a spotlight that didn't warm him. Outside, the rain kept falling. Inside, a father's heart cracked open, too late to fix what he'd broken, but not too late to regret it, not too late to wish, desperately, hopelessly, that he could turn back time, that he could choose differently, that he could be the man his son still believed him to be. But time doesn't rewind, and choices once made leave scars. He stood, wiped his face, straightened his suit, the same one he'd wear to the gala next week, on Sophia's arm, smiling for cameras, pretending he was happy, pretending he hadn't just destroyed the only thing that ever truly mattered. He walked out of Theo's room, didn't look back, couldn't, because if he did, he might never leave. And men like him, they always leave, even when it kills them. The elevator ride down was silent. The lobby, empty. The doorman tipped his hat. "Good evening, Mr. Vance." Alexander nodded, didn't speak. He stepped into the Blacktown car waiting for him. Sophia was inside, scrolling through her phone, lips painted red, dress shimmering like liquid gold. She looked up, smiled. "Finally, I was starting to think you changed your mind." He sat beside her, didn't look at her. "Drive," he told the driver. As the car pulled away from the building, from the home he'd abandoned, from the family he'd shattered, he stared out the window. And in the reflection of the glass, just for a second, he saw them. Clara, holding Theo's hand, standing in the doorway, watching him go. He blinked. They were gone. But the image stayed, burned into his mind. A ghost, a warning, a sentence. He turned to Sophia. "Let's go." She leaned into him, her perfume thick and cloying. "You did the right thing, darling. You'll see. This is the beginning of everything you deserve." He didn't answer, because deep down, beneath the tailored suit and the polished shoes and the empire he'd built, he already knew the truth. This wasn't the beginning. It was the end. And he had no one to blame but himself. The rain kept falling. Somewhere, a child cried out in his sleep, calling for a father who wouldn't come. Somewhere, a woman packed away baby clothes and photo albums and whispered promises to herself that she would be enough. And somewhere, In the back of a black car speeding toward a glittering future that felt like a tomb, a man stared into the night, wondering if redemption was possible, wondering if love, once thrown away, could ever be reclaimed, wondering if one day his son would look at him and see not a tycoon, but a father. The story had only just begun, and already it was breaking hearts, including his own. Certo, agora tu como narrador e storyteller desenvolva a historia sem marcacos com o nome de cada topico que for desenvolve. Mi conti sobrio topico tu com dialogo como su fosso espectador. Sempre lembrando de desenvolver com vida moco. Com os sentimentos de forma que a estrutura de narrativa utiliza uma linha temporal linear de modo o espectador sentir o que o personagem está sentindo amigos. Com 6.000 characters quen 3 max. Preview. The apartment smelled like cardboard. An old paint. Not home. Not yet. Maybe not ever. Clara stood in the middle of the living room, if you could call it that, arms wrapped around herself like she was holding her own pieces together. The space was small. Smaller than Theo's old playroom in the penthouse. One window. Thin walls. The radiator clanked like an angry heartbeat. Outside, sirens wailed. A city that didn't care. A world that kept spinning even when your own had shattered into dust. She turned slowly, taking it in. The boxes. So many boxes. Some labeled. Most not. Clothes. Books. Toys. Photographs she hadn't had the strength to throw away. Or maybe she hadn't had the strength to look at them. Theo sat cross-legged on the bare floor, coloring quietly. His dinosaurs were fighting again. T-Rex versus Stegosaurus. Epic battle for the Crayon Kingdom. He didn't complain about the new place. Didn't ask why the ceiling was lower, why the lights were dimmer, why his room was now a corner of the living room with a curtain for a door. He just adapted. The way children do. The way they break your heart without even trying. Mama, he said, not looking up from his drawing. Can I put my rockets on the window? She glanced at the narrow ledge, barely wide enough for a coffee mug. Maybe not yet, sweetheart. It's a little high. We'll find a spot. He nodded. Okay. No tantrum. No tears. Just quiet acceptance. That was the worst part. He didn't rage. Didn't scream. Didn't ask why Daddy wasn't here to help carry the boxes or hang the pictures or fix the squeaky floorboard. He just stopped asking. And that silence, that gentle, obedient silence, was louder than any cry. Clara walked to the kitchen. Tiny. One burner didn't work. The fridge hummed like it was on its last breath. She opened a cabinet. Empty. She placed a single mug inside. The one Theo had made in preschool. Clay. Lopsided. Painted blue with glitter glue. World's Best Mama written in shaky letters. She traced the words with her finger. Then she gripped the edge of the counter. Hard. Knuckles white. Breath shallow. She didn't cry. Not here. Not now. Because if she started, she might never stop. Later that night, after Theo was asleep, curled up on the pull-out couch under a blanket too thin for winter, Clara sat at the rickety kitchen table with her laptop open. The glow of the screen, the only light in the room. Freelance editing job. Deadline in 48 hours. Pay barely enough for groceries. She scrolled through the manuscript. Corporate memoir. Bland. Soulless. Full of buzzwords and empty triumphs. She highlighted a sentence. Deleted it. Rewrote it. Her fingers moved fast. Efficient. Mechanical. Inside, she was screaming. Her eyes burned. Her shoulders ached. Her heart, that stubborn, bruised thing, throbbed with every keystroke. She paused. Glanced at Theo. His breathing was soft. Steady. One hand tucked under his cheek. The other clutching Mr. Snuffles. She closed the laptop. Stood. Walked to him. Kneeled beside the couch. Brushed a curl from his forehead. Whispered. So softly it was almost a thought. I'm sorry, baby. I'm so sorry I couldn't give you more. He stirred. Mumbled something. Mama? I'm here, she whispered. I'm right here. He smiled in his sleep. Snuggled deeper into the blanket. She stayed there, watching him, memorizing the curve of his cheek, the flutter of his lashes, the way his nose scrunched when he dreamed. This was her world now. Not galas, not penthouses, not Alexander Vance's name on her lips or his money in her bank account. This small, broken, beautiful boy, and she would move mountains for him, even if she had to crawl. Morning came too soon. Clara woke on the floor beside the couch, her neck stiff, her back screaming. She hadn't meant to fall asleep there, but she hadn't wanted to leave his side. She stretched, quietly, made coffee in the one working pot, toasted the last slice of bread, scraped together peanut butter and a banana for Theo's breakfast. He woke slowly, rubbed his eyes, sat up, looked around. "Is this our house now?" She forced a smile. "For now, yes, until we find something better." He nodded, swung his legs over the edge of the couch. "Can I have chocolate milk?" "We'll get some today," she promised. "After school." He didn't question it, didn't ask why they couldn't have it now, why the fridge was nearly empty, why she'd been wearing the same sweater for 3 days. He trusted her, completely, unconditionally, and that trust, it was the heaviest thing she'd ever carried. The school drop-off was worse than she expected. Theo skipped ahead, backpack bouncing, waving at friends. Clara followed, shoulders tense, eyes scanning. Not for danger, for him. Alexander never came, never called, never emailed, but she still looked. Every morning, every afternoon, like some stupid, wounded animal still sniffing the air for the scent of its captor. "Bye, Mama," Theo called, disappearing through the school gates. She waved, smiled, waited until he was out of sight. Then she turned, leaned against the brick wall, closed her eyes, breathed. 1, 2, 3. She pulled out her phone, opened her calendar. Job interview, 11 a.m. rejected. Client revision request due in 6 hours. Pediatrician appointment rescheduled. Again. Rent due in 12 days. She exhaled, opened her email. One unread message. Her heart leapt. Please don't be him. Please don't be him. It wasn't. It was the building manager. Reminder: heat fee overdue. $85. Pay by Friday or service will be suspended. She closed the app, looked up at the sky. Gray, endless, heavy, just like her chest. That afternoon, she picked Theo up early. His teacher had called. He'd gotten into a fight. Not Theo. Sweet, quiet Theo. She rushed to the school, heart pounding. Found him sitting in the principal's office, eyes red, knees scraped. "What happened?" she asked, kneeling in front of him. He looked down. He said, my daddy left because I was bad." Clara's blood turned to ice. "Who said that?" "Theo," the principal interjected gently, "was defending you. Another boy said you were poor and alone." Theo pushed him. Clara pulled her son into her arms, held him tight. "You didn't do anything wrong, baby. You protected Mama. And I'm so proud of you." He buried his face in her neck. "But, is Daddy coming back?" She closed her eyes, swallowed the lump in her throat. "I don't know, sweetheart. Do you miss him every damn day?" But she didn't say that. Instead, she kissed his forehead. "I miss the daddy you remember, the one who read you stories and took you to the park. That daddy, I miss him too." Theo nodded. "Me too." That night, after bath and books and lullabies, Clara sat at the kitchen table again, laptop open, coffee cold. She stared at the blinking cursor. Then she opened a new document. Not for work, for her. She began to type. "He left us on a Tuesday. Rainy, cold. He didn't hug Theo goodbye, didn't look me in the eye, just packed his suits and his watches and his pride, and walked out like we were furniture he'd grown tired of." Her fingers flew. "I told myself I'd be enough, that love didn't need his name or his money, that Theo wouldn't remember the before, but he does. He remembers the bedtime songs, the way Daddy used to toss him in the air, the smell of his cologne, the sound of his laugh." Tears blurred the screen. She didn't stop. "I cry in the shower, in the elevator, in the cereal aisle when I see the brand he used to buy. I cry when Theo asks for chocolate milk and I have to say no. I cry when he draws pictures of 3 stick figures and leaves the father one blank. She wiped her eyes, kept typing. But I won't break. Not in front of him. Not where he can see. Because if I fall apart, who will hold him together, who will kiss his scraped knees, who will tell him he's loved, who will remind him that his worth isn't measured by his father's absence? She saved the document. Named it for Theo. When he's older. Then she closed the laptop. Walked to the window. Looked out at the city. Lights twinkled. Cars honked. Life moved on. She whispered to the glass, to the night, to the ghost of the man who used to love her. I'm still here, Alexander. And I'm raising your son to be everything you walked away from. Weeks passed. She took on 3 more editing jobs, slept 4 hours a night, ate toast for dinner, sold her wedding ring. Theo started drawing again. Big, colorful pictures, spaceships, dinosaurs, families, always 3 people. Sometimes the father had no face. Sometimes he had wings. Clara taped every single one to the wall. Above the sink, beside the door, over the tiny bookshelf, a gallery of hope, a museum of resilience. One evening, as she tucked Theo into bed, he looked up at her with those big, soulful eyes. Mama, are we poor? She paused, sat on the edge of the mattress. We don't have a lot of money, baby, but we have each other, and that's the most important thing. He thought about that, nodded. Okay. I don't need toys, or a big house. I just need you. Her breath caught. She leaned down, kissed his forehead. I just need you too, my love. He yawned. Can you sing the moon song? She smiled, softly, tenderly. And as she sang, voice trembling, heart full, she realized something. She wasn't surviving. She was living. Not the life she'd planned. Not the life she dreamed of. But a life. Real. Raw. Beautiful, and hers. Outside, the city roared. Inside, a mother sang to her son. And for the first time since the rain, since the goodbye, since the breaking, she felt peace. Not because the pain was gone, but because she was learning to carry it. And that was power. That was love. He should have felt like a king. Instead, he felt like a ghost haunting his own life. Sophia leaned into him, her lips brushing his ear. Smile, darling. They're all watching. He forced his mouth upward. A hollow curve. A performance. Just like everything else now. Of course, he murmured. She squeezed his arm, not affectionately, possessively, like she was reminding him who owned him now. And God help him, he let her. The wedding had been a spectacle. 300 guests. A designer gown flown in from Paris. A string quartet flown in from Vienna. Fireworks over the harbor. Paparazzi behind velvet ropes. Hashtags trending before the cake was even cut. Hashtag Vance Laurent forever. Hashtag billionaire bliss. Hashtag power couple goals. Alexander had stood at the altar in a custom Tom Ford tux, staring at Sophia as she glided toward him. Radiant, flawless, victorious. He hadn't felt joy. He'd felt dread. It coiled in his gut like a snake, tightening with every step she took, with every flash of the cameras, with every cheer from the crowd. When the priest said, "You may kiss the bride," he bent down mechanically, pressed his lips to hers, cold, dry, lifeless. She smiled against his mouth, whispered, "You look miserable. Try harder." He did. He always did. Now, 3 months into the marriage, the gilded cage had a name: Sophia Laurent Vance, and it was shrinking. Every morning she critiqued his tie, his coffee order, his schedule. "Your meeting with the Singapore team, wear the navy suit. It makes you look less tired." Every evening, she demanded appearances. Galas, premieres, charity auctions, where she posed beside him like a trophy, her hand always on his chest, his shoulder, his thigh, claiming him, branding him, reminding the world and him that he was hers. At night, in their penthouse, the new penthouse because the old one had bad energy, she scrolled through social media, comparing their life to other power couples. "We need more yacht photos," she'd say. "People think we're boring." He'd stare at the ceiling. We're not boring. We're empty. She'd laugh. Empty is underrated. Full is messy. Tonight, at the Metropolis Charity Gala, his foundation's biggest event, she was in full bloom, emerald silk gown, diamond choker, hair swept into a flawless updo. She moved through the crowd like a queen surveying her kingdom, pausing to air-kiss socialites, to whisper in the ears of influencers, to pose for selfies with senators. Alexander trailed behind, nodding, smiling, shaking hands, feeling nothing, absolutely nothing, until, "Darling," Sophia's voice cut through the noise. She grabbed his wrist, pulling him toward a group of investors. "Tell Mr. Chun about the new acquisition. He's dying to hear." Alexander forced focus, recited numbers, margins, projections. The words tasted like ash. Mr. Chun beamed. "Impressive, Vance. You've still got the magic." Sophia beamed brighter. "Of course he does. I make sure of it." Alexander's jaw tightened. He excused himself, wandered toward the terrace. The night air was cool, quiet, a relief. He leaned against the railing, staring at the skyline. The same view he used to share with Clara. The same stars Theo used to point to, asking which one was his. A voice behind him, smooth, mocking. Running away already, he didn't turn. "I'm getting air." Sophia stepped beside him, her perfume, jasmine and something synthetic, cloying in the breeze. "You've been getting air a lot lately. I need it." She sipped her champagne. "You need to be inside, smiling, winning. That's what they pay you for." "They don't pay me. I own them." She smirked. "Semantics. Perception is reality, Alexander. And right now, your reality is looking distracted." He turned to her then. "What do you want from me, Sophia?" Her eyes gleamed. "Not with love, with calculation. I want you to be Alexander Vance, the Titan, the visionary, the man who doesn't flinch. Not this shell." He looked away. "Maybe the shell is all that's left." She set her glass down, stepped closer. Her voice dropped, low, dangerous, intimate. "Then I'll carve a new one that shines, one that obeys, one that doesn't look at old photos when he thinks I'm asleep." His blood ran cold. She knew. Of course she knew. He'd thought he was careful, deleting browser history, hiding the photo album under his desk drawer. But Sophia missed nothing. She touched his cheek. "I didn't marry you to watch you mourn. I married you because you're powerful, because you're mine, and I don't share." He pulled away. "You don't own me." Her smile didn't waver. "Don't I?" She reached into her clutch, pulled out a small velvet box. His breath caught. Inside a cufflink, platinum, engraved with their initials. "A gift," she purred, "to remind you who you belong to." He didn't take it. She placed it in his palm anyway, closed his fingers around it. "Wear them tomorrow, at the board meeting. Let them see you're committed." He stared at the cufflink, felt its weight, its symbolism. A leash disguised as luxury, a brand disguised as love. Back inside, the music swelled. The crowd laughed. Sophia glided back into the spotlight, leaving him standing alone near the grand staircase. He watched her flirt with a tech billionaire, watched her toss her hair, watched her accept compliments like offerings. And for the first time, he didn't feel desire. He felt disgust, not just for her, for himself, for the man who traded bedtime stories for boardrooms, who traded lullabies for luxury suites, who traded his son's laughter for this glittering, hollow, soulless nothing. He wandered toward the bar, ordered whiskey, neat. The bartender, an older man with tired eyes, slid it over. "Rough night, sir," Alexander almost laughed. "You could say that." The man nodded. "Weddings are like that, all sparkle, no substance." Alexander looked up. "You were there," the bartender smiled faintly. "I've worked these galas 20 years. Seen a lot of forevers crumble before dessert." Alexander swirled the whiskey. "What's the secret to making it last?" The man wiped a glass. "Love, not contracts, not cameras. Love, the messy, Inconvenient, real kind. Alexander stared into his drink. Thought of Clara's hands, always warm, always creating, always holding. Thought of Theo's voice, soft, curious, trusting. Thought of the way they used to sit on the couch, all three of them watching cartoons, sharing popcorn, being a family. Not performing, just being. He downed the whiskey in one burning gulp. Sophia found him 10 minutes later. "You're brooding," she said, appearing at his side like a shadow. "It's unattractive." He didn't answer. She sighed. "Come, the photographers are waiting. We need a newlywed glow shot for Vogue." He stood, followed her, posed, smiled, let her drape herself over him like a prize. The cameras flashed. Click, click, click. Each one a nail in the coffin of the man he used to be. Later, in the car, she scrolled through the photos on her phone. "These are perfect," she murmured. "You look almost alive." He stared out the window. "I'm tired, Sophia." She didn't look up. "Then sleep. Big day tomorrow. Don't forget the cufflinks." He closed his eyes, felt the weight of the velvet box in his pocket, felt the weight of his choices, felt the weight of the life he'd chosen and the life he'd abandoned. Back in the penthouse, Sophia disappeared into the master bath, humming as she removed her makeup. Alexander walked to his study, closed the door, pulled the photo album from the drawer, opened it. There they were, Clara, laughing on the beach, her hair wild, her eyes bright. Theo, covered in cake on his 3rd birthday, grinning like the world was made of sugar. Him, younger, softer, happier, arms wrapped around them both, like he was shielding them from the world, like he was home. He traced their faces, whispered, voice breaking, "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." A knock at the door. Alexander, Sophia's voice, sweet, sing-song, laced with warning. "Come to bed. You have an early meeting." He closed the album, hid it, wiped his eyes, opened the door, smiled. "Coming." He climbed into bed beside her. She turned off the light. "Good night, husband." He stared at the ceiling. "Good night." But he didn't sleep. He lay there, listening to her even breaths, feeling the cold space between them, wondering, when had he become a stranger in his own skin, when had power become his prison, when had love become a memory, and would he ever find his way back? The city slept. The penthouse gleamed. And in the dark, a man who had everything had never felt more alone. The cufflinks sat on his dresser, waiting, like a sentence, like a surrender, like the beginning of the end. He didn't know it yet, but the gala was coming, and with it Clara. She picked it up between 2 manicured fingers, like it was contaminated. "You didn't tell me they invited you." He didn't look up from his laptop. "I didn't think it mattered." She laughed, sharp, brittle. "It always matters. This is your foundation, Alexander. The one your grandfather built. The one your name still opens doors for. You don't get to pretend it doesn't exist." He finally met her eyes. "I don't want to go." Her smile didn't reach her eyes. "Too bad." She placed the invitation back on the desk, deliberately centered, like a target. "You're going, and you're going with me. We'll sit at the head table. We'll be photographed. We'll donate $500,000 to seal the optics. And you'll smile like you're exactly where you want to be." He stood, walked to the window. "I don't want to be anywhere." "Then pretend." She stepped behind him, her hands sliding over his shoulders, her chin resting on his back. Parody of intimacy. "That's what you're good at, isn't it? Pretending. You pretended to love me at the altar. You pretend to enjoy my parties. You pretend not to miss them." His muscles tensed. She felt it, pressed closer. "I know you look at her Instagram," she whispered. "I know you search Theo's name. I know you keep that damn photo album under your desk. I let you, because it's pathetic. And pathetic men are easy to control." He turned then, slowly, eyes dark. "Don't talk about them." She tilted her head. "Or what you'll leave me go crawling back to your ex and your brat, please." You walked away. You don't get to come back just because you're bored. He didn't answer, because she was right. And that was the worst part. The week crawled by. Sophia planned their outfits, hired a stylist, booked hair and makeup, ordered the florist to send white roses to the table. Elegant, cold, perfect, just like us. Alexander moved through it like a sleepwalker. He signed checks, approved press releases, sat through fittings, nodded when spoken to. Inside, a storm raged. Not anger, not sadness, dread. A deep, gnawing, primal dread that coiled in his gut every time he thought about walking into that ballroom. The same one where he proposed to Clara. The same one where Theo had taken his first steps during a New Year's party. The same one where they danced, slow and silly, while the band played Sinatra. Now he'd walk in with Sophia, and everyone would watch, and everyone would know, and no one would say a word. The night arrived. Rain again, of course. Alexander stood in front of the mirror, adjusting his bow tie. The cufflinks Sophia had given him gleamed at his wrists, cold, heavy, suffocating. He hated them. He wore them anyway. Sophia swept into the room in a gown of liquid silver, her hair a cascade of dark curls, her lips painted the color of fresh blood. "Stunning," she murmured, admiring herself in the mirror beside him. "We'll break the internet." He didn't answer. She turned to him. Nervous, no liar. She stepped closer, smoothing his lapels. "You're terrified you'll see her." His breath hitched, just slightly, but she caught it. She smiled. "Oh, darling, don't worry. Even if she's there, which she won't be, she's nothing now. A ghost, a footnote, a woman who couldn't keep a billionaire." He looked at her, really looked, and for the first time he didn't see beauty. He saw cruelty, not the playful, teasing kind, the kind that cuts deep and smiles while you bleed. "You're wrong," he said quietly. She arched a brow. "About what? About her?" Sophia's smile faltered just for a second. Then it snapped back sharper than before. "We'll see." The car ride was silent. Rain streaked the windows. Neon lights smeared across the glass like watercolor tears. Alexander stared out, watching the city blur. He thought of Theo. Was he asleep? Was he dreaming? Did he still keep Mr. Snuffles tucked under his pillow? He thought of Clara. Was she warm? Was she safe? Was she happy? The thought twisted in his chest like a knife. He didn't deserve to wonder. He didn't deserve to care. He'd made his choice. Now he had to live with it. The Regent Hotel loomed ahead, grand, glittering, imposing. Cameras flashed as they stepped out of the car. Sophia took his arm, her grip iron tight. "Smile," she hissed. He did. The crowd cheered. Paparazzi shouted his name. "Alexander! Over here! Sophia! Look this way! Are you two expecting?" Sophia laughed, waving. "Not yet, darlings." But who knows? Alexander's stomach turned. He kept smiling. Inside, the ballroom was even more opulent than he remembered. Crystal chandeliers, marble floors, a string quartet playing something classical and mournful. The air smelled like perfume and champagne and old money. And memories. So many memories. There, the corner where he'd kissed Clara for the first time. There, the table where Theo had spilled punch all over a senator's wife. There, the dance floor where they'd swayed, slow and close, whispering dreams into each other's ears. Now Sophia pulled him toward the head table. "Wave," she whispered. "They adore you." He waved, felt like a fraud. They were seated between a tech mogul and a European countess. Sophia chatted effortlessly, name-dropping, complimenting, commanding attention. Alexander nodded, sipped water, scanned the room, looking. He didn't know why. He told himself Clara wouldn't come. She hated these events now, said they were performances for people who'd forgotten how to feel. She wouldn't subject Theo to the circus. She wouldn't. His gaze froze. Near the bar, a woman in a simple navy dress, hair pulled back, no jewelry, no pretense, just her, Clara. His breath stopped, his heart hammered. She was here, and beside her, small, bright-eyed, fidgeting with his bow tie. Theo, alive, real, here. Alexander stood so fast his chair screeched. Sophia grabbed his arm. "What are you doing?" He didn't answer. Couldn't. His legs moved on their own. Through the crowd, past the waiters, past the cameras, past the whispers. He didn't see them. He only saw them. Clara turned. Their eyes met. Time stopped. The music faded. The lights dimmed. The world fell away. There was only her, and him, and the little boy between them, who looked up and whispered, "Papa." Alexander didn't breathe, didn't blink, didn't move. He just stared at his son, at his wife, at the life he'd thrown away, standing right in front of him, in the lit hallway just off the ballroom. Golden light spilling over them like a halo, like a judgment, like a second chance. Sophia's voice cut through the silence like a blade. "Alexander, what the hell are you doing?" She stormed toward him, heels clicking like gunshots. Clara's eyes widened. She pulled Theo closer, but it was too late. Theo had already seen him, and Alexander he'd already seen everything he'd lost. Sophia reached them. Her smile was poison. Well, if it isn't the ghost of Christmas past." Clara didn't flinch. Sophia's gaze raked over her. "Still dressing like a librarian, I see, and dragging the child into this, how tragic." Theo hid behind Clara's legs. Alexander stepped forward. "Don't." Sophia turned to him, eyes blazing. "Don't what? Speak the truth. She doesn't belong here, Alexander. She's a memory, a mistake, a nobody." Clara's voice was quiet, steady. "Then why are you so afraid of me?" Sophia's smile vanished. Alexander looked at Clara, really looked. She was thinner, tired, but her eyes, God, her eyes, still held that quiet fire, that unbreakable strength. And Theo, he peeked out from behind her. "Papa," he said again, softly, hopefully. Alexander's knees nearly gave out. He dropped to one knee, right there, in front of everyone, in front of Sophia, in front of the world. He reached out, touched Theo's cheek. "You're here," he whispered. Theo nodded. "Mama said you might be." Alexander's throat tightened. I didn't know you'd come." Clara spoke then. "We didn't plan to, but Theo asked if you'd be here, and I couldn't say no." Alexander looked up at her, saw the pain in her eyes, the fear, the love, still there, after everything, still there. Sophia grabbed his arm, hard. "Get up, now, you're making a scene." Alexander didn't move. He kept his hand on Theo's face, kept his eyes on Clara's. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I'm so sorry." Clara didn't cry, didn't yell, didn't break. She just looked at him, and in that look he saw everything. The nights she cried alone, the mornings she faked smiles for Theo, the battles she fought without him, the love she never stopped giving, even when he didn't deserve it. "I know," she said softly, and that shattered him more than any scream ever could. Sophia yanked him to his feet. "You're done," she hissed. "We're leaving." Alexander pulled his arm free. "No." Sophia stared at him. "What did you say?" He turned to her. Calm, clear, final. "I said no." The ballroom had gone silent. All eyes on them, cameras flashing, whispers rising. Sophia's face twisted with rage. "You humiliate me in public after everything I've done for you." Alexander looked at Clara, Theo, then back at Sophia. "You didn't do anything for me. You took everything from me." Her eyes widened, then narrowed. "You'll regret this," she spat. He didn't answer. He just turned back to Clara. Can I take him for ice cream just for a few minutes, please?" Clara hesitated, looked at Theo, who was staring at his father like he was a miracle. She nodded. 10 minutes, not a second more. Alexander's heart soared, crashed, broke, healed, all at once. He took Theo's hand, small, warm, trusting, and walked away from Sophia, away from the cameras, away from the glitter, toward the only thing that had ever truly mattered. Sophia stood frozen, watching him go, her fists clenched, her eyes burning. This wasn't over, not even close. And in the lit hallway, a father, a son, A second chance. Fragile. Trembling. Alive. She didn't open it for 2 days. When she did, she read it standing in the kitchen, Theo coloring at the table behind her, humming a tune from his favorite cartoon. You are cordially invited. Annual Beneficence Gala, the Regent Hotel, black tie. She exhaled slowly, closed her eyes, felt the weight of the paper in her hands like it was made of lead. She hadn't stepped foot in that world since the day Alexander walked out. Hadn't worn heels. Hadn't touched a piece of jewelry that wasn't from a discount store. Hadn't let herself remember the way the chandeliers used to catch the light when she danced with him. She was about to toss it in the recycling bin, where it belongs, when her phone buzzed. It was Lena, her oldest friend, the one who'd held her hair back the night she'd sobbed into a bottle of cheap wine, the one who'd helped her pack the boxes, the one who'd shown up with groceries and cartoons and silence when words weren't enough. You got it too, right? The gala invite, Clara typed back. Yeah, going straight in the trash. Lena's reply was instant. Don't. Why not? Because I'm covering it for the Chronicle. Ghostwriting a piece on philanthropy in the age of influence. They want a human angle. Someone who knows the Foundation's history. Someone who knew him. Clara's chest tightened. You want me to go with you? No. I want you to write it. From the inside. Observe. Report. Get paid. $2,500. Clara stared at the number. Rent was due in 10 days. Theo needed new shoes. The radiator still hissed like a dying animal. She looked over her shoulder. Theo was drawing again. A tall man with wings holding a little boy's hand. The caption, "My daddy. He flies." Her heart cracked. She typed, "I'll do it." The dress was borrowed. Navy blue. Simple. Elegant without trying. From Lena's closet. You're the same size we were in college. Minus the heartbreak. Oh wait. Clara had laughed. Nervously. Now, standing in front of the mirror in Lena's guest bathroom, she barely recognized herself. Hair pinned back. Minimal makeup. Lips bare. No perfume. Just her. She looked tired, but strong. She looked like a woman who'd survived. Not unscathed, but standing. Lena appeared in the doorway, dressed in emerald silk, earrings dangling like chandeliers. Damn girl, you clean up tragic. Clara smiled faintly. Thanks, I think. Lena stepped closer, squeezed her shoulder. You don't have to do this, you know. We can call it off. Say you got sick. Say Theo threw up. Say Alexander Vance personally threatened to sue us. Whatever. Clara shook her head. I need the money, Lena. And Clara met her own eyes in the mirror. And I need to prove to myself I can walk back in there. That I'm not afraid. Lena sighed. You're not afraid. You're terrified. And that's okay. Clara nodded. I know. Theo was already in bed when they left. Clara had tucked him in extra tight, kissed his forehead a dozen times, whispered promises into his hair. I'll be back before you know it. Aunt Lena's staying with you. You'll watch movies and eat popcorn, and I'll bring you a treat tomorrow. Okay. He'd nodded sleepily. Okay, Mama. Then, just as she turned to leave, will Daddy be there? Her breath caught. She turned back, sat on the edge of the bed. Why do you ask? He shrugged, small shoulders rising and falling. I dreamed about him last night. He was wearing a suit, like in the pictures. She swallowed. I don't know, sweetheart. Probably not. He studied her face. Too perceptive for 5. You're lying. She blinked. What, you only bite your lip when you lie? She touched her lip. Sure enough. She sighed. Okay, maybe he'll be there. But it's a big place. Lots of people. We probably won't see him. Theo nodded slowly. Okay. He didn't cry, didn't beg, didn't ask why. He just pulled Mr. Snuffles closer and whispered, Tell him I said hi. Clara's eyes burned. She kissed his forehead again. I will. The car ride was silent. Lena drove. Clara stared out the window. Rain streaked the glass. The city lights blurred into streaks of gold and red. Her hands were clenched in her lap. Her heart, a wild, frantic bird trapped in her ribs. She kept replaying Theo's words. Tell him I said hi. God. She hoped she wouldn't see him. Hoped he wouldn't be there. Hoped if he was that he wouldn't look at her. That he wouldn't speak. That he wouldn't remember. Because if he looked at her, if he saw her, if he recognized the woman he'd left behind, she wasn't sure she could survive it. Not in front of everyone. Not in that dress. Not with her heart still stitched together with fraying thread. They arrived. The Regent loomed like a palace built on broken promises. Cameras flashed. Crowds murmured. Limos glided to the curb like black swans. Clara stepped out after Lena, head high, shoulders back, gripping her small clutch like a shield. She didn't belong here. Not anymore. The doorman opened the door with a nod. Welcome, Ms. Reed. Ms. Vance. Clara froze. Ms. Vance. The name still clung to her like a ghost. She didn't correct him. Didn't have the strength. Inside, the ballroom was worse than she remembered. Larger, louder, more suffocating. The scent of roses and champagne and expensive perfume hit her like a wave. She scanned the room. Don't look for him. Don't. Her eyes betrayed her. They darted to the head table. And there him, Alexander, in a tuxedo that fit him like a second skin. Beside him, Sophia, glittering, smiling, possessive. Clara's breath left her. Her knees wobbled. Lena grabbed her arm. Breathe. Just breathe. Clara nodded. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. I'm fine, she whispered. You're not, but you will be. They found their seats, far from the front, near the back, where shadows pooled and cameras rarely wandered. Clara kept her head down, sipped water, smiled politely at strangers, listened to Lena's whispered commentary for the article. Note the diamond brooch on the countess, rumored to be a gift from her nephew. Wink, wink. The champagne is Dom Perignon Rose. $400 a bottle. Waste of money if you ask me. That's the new Minister of Culture. He's sleeping with his assistant. Again. Clara nodded, took notes, played the part. But inside she was unraveling. Every laugh, every toast, every clink of glass. It echoed with memories. The night Alexander proposed, right there by the fountain. The night Theo took his first steps, right there, near the dessert table. The night they slow danced to Fly Me to the Moon. Right there, under the largest chandelier. Now she was a ghost in her own history. Then a murmur, a shift, a ripple through the crowd. Clara looked up. Alexander was standing, walking away from the table, away from Sophia, toward the hallway. Her pulse spiked. No. Lena leaned in. What's happening? Clara didn't answer. She stood, slowly, heart hammering, feet moving before her mind could stop them. She slipped through the crowd, past waiters, past guests, toward the lit hallway, the one with the arched doorway, the one bathed in golden light, the one she used to love. She stepped into the hallway, empty, quiet, peaceful. She exhaled. He's not here. You're safe. You're then a small voice. Mama, she turned. Theo, standing there in his tiny rented tux, bow tie crooked, eyes wide. Clara's blood turned to ice. Theo, what are you doing here? Where's Lena? He shuffled his feet. I snuck out. I wanted to see. See what? He looked down. If Daddy was here. Clara's vision blurred. She dropped to her knees, grabbed his shoulders. Theo, baby, you can't just... I had to know, he whispered. I dreamed about him. I had to see if he was real. She pulled him into her arms, held him tight. Oh, sweetheart, you scared me. I'm sorry, he mumbled into her neck. She kissed his hair. It's okay. We'll go. Right now. I'll tell Lena. Then footsteps. Slow, deliberate, echoing down the marble floor. Clara didn't need to turn. She felt him, felt his presence like a storm rolling in, felt the air change, felt her heart stop. Theo pulled back, looked over her shoulder. His face lit up. Papa, Clara turned. There he was, Alexander, 10 feet away, frozen, staring, eyes wide, lips parted. hand trembling at his side. He looked shattered, destroyed, alive. Behind him, Sophia storming down the hall, heels like gunshots. "What is this?" she hissed. "Alexander, get back to the table. Now." He didn't move, didn't blink, didn't breathe. He just stared at Theo, at her, at the life he'd abandoned, standing right in front of him, in the lit hallway, golden light spilling over them like grace, like judgment, like a reckoning. Sophia reached them. Her smile was a knife. "Well, if it isn't Cinderella and the brat." Clara stood, shielded Theo with her body. "We're leaving." Sophia laughed. "Oh, please. You walked into our party. You don't get to leave until we say so." Alexander finally spoke, voice raw, shaking. "Sophia, stop." She turned on him. "You're embarrassing me, in front of everyone." He stepped forward, placed himself between her and Clara. "I don't care." Sophia's eyes flashed. "You will." Clara grabbed Theo's hand. "Come on, baby. Let's go." Theo didn't move. He looked up at his father. "Papa, are you mad at me?" Alexander's face crumpled. He dropped to his knees, right there, in front of God and Sophia and the world. He cupped Theo's face in his hands. "I could never be mad at you," he whispered. "Never." Theo smiled, small, trembling, hopeful. "I missed you." Alexander's breath hitched. "I missed you too, buddy. Every single day." Clara's vision blurred. She didn't cry, not yet, but she felt it, the dam cracking, the walls crumbling, the past rushing in. Sophia grabbed Alexander's arm. "Get up." He shook her off, looked at Clara, eyes pleading. Can I take him for ice cream? Just 10 minutes, please." Clara hesitated, looked at Theo, who was staring at his father like he was the son. She nodded. 10 minutes. Not a second more. Alexander's eyes filled with tears. He stood, took Theo's hand, and walked away from Sophia, away from the gala, away from the glitter, toward the only thing that had ever truly mattered. Sophia turned to Clara, smile gone, eyes blazing. "This isn't over." Clara met her gaze. Calm, clear, final. "I know." And as Alexander disappeared down the hallway with Theo's small hand in his, Clara realized she hadn't come here to write an article. She hadn't come here for the money. She'd come here to be seen, to be remembered. Alone, heart hammering, hands trembling, and Theo gone, walking away with the man who'd shattered their lives. 10 minutes, not a second more. She'd said it like she meant it, like she was in control. But the truth, she was barely holding on. Her breath came in shallow gasps. Her fingers dug into the clutch in her hand like it was the only thing keeping her upright. She stared down the hallway, long, elegant, bathed in golden light, where Alexander's broad shoulders had disappeared with Theo's small hand tucked safely in his. She should have followed, should have stayed, should have ripped Theo from his grip and run. But she didn't, because Theo had looked up at his father with eyes full of wonder, because Alexander had dropped to his knees like a man begging for mercy, because for the first time in over a year, Theo had called him Papa, and he'd answered. Sophia hadn't followed them. She stood a few feet away, arms crossed, lips pressed into a thin, furious line. Her eyes, sharp, calculating, venomous, were locked on Clara. "You think this changes anything?" Sophia hissed. "You think he's going to leave me for you, for that child, please? He's bored. That's all. A moment of weakness. A pathetic nostalgia trip." Clara didn't look at her, didn't answer. She couldn't. Her throat was too tight, her chest too heavy. Sophia stepped closer, heels clicking like a countdown. "He'll come back to me. He always does. Because I'm what he needs. Glamour, power, influence. Not whatever this is." She gestured vaguely at Clara's dress, her hair, her face. "You're a memory, darling, and memories fade." Clara finally turned, met Sophia's gaze, and smiled. Not a happy smile, not a kind smile, a knowing smile, the kind that comes from surviving hell and realizing you're still standing. "Funny," Clara said softly. He didn't look bored when he was kneeling in front of his son. He didn't look weak when he told you to shut up. And he sure as hell didn't look like he was coming back to you when he walked away holding Theo's hand. Sophia's smile faltered, just for a second. Then it snapped back colder, harder. "We'll see." Clara nodded. "Yes, we will." She turned and walked away, not fast, not frantic, slow, deliberate, dignified, every step a reclaiming, every breath a rebellion. She didn't go back to the ballroom, didn't look for Lena, didn't care about the article, the money, the assignment. All she cared about was the clock ticking in her head. 10 minutes. She found a quiet alcove near the service entrance. Plush velvet bench, potted ferns, dim lighting. Sat down, placed her clutch on her lap, folded her hands, waited, listened to her heart. It wasn't racing anymore. It was waiting, like her. Back at the apartment, hours earlier, Theo had asked her that question. The one that had lodged itself in her chest like a thorn. "Mama, will Daddy be there?" She'd lied. Of course she had. What was she supposed to say? "Yes, sweetheart. The man who left us for a woman who wears diamonds to breakfast will be sitting at the head table like a king while we hide in the back like ghosts." No. She'd smiled, kissed his forehead, said, "Probably not, baby. It's a big place. Lots of people. We probably won't see him." He'd looked at her, not with suspicion, with knowing. "You're lying." She'd blinked. "What, you only bite your lip when you lie?" God, he was too smart, too perceptive, too much like his father. She'd sighed. "Okay, maybe he'll be there, but it's a big place. We probably won't. Tell him I said hi." That was the knife. That was the wound. Not anger, not blame. Love, pure, unbroken, unconditional. Even after everything. Even after abandonment. Even after silence. Theo still loved him. Still missed him. Still dreamed of him. And Clara, she hated herself for it. But she still loved him too. Not the tycoon. Not the man who'd walked out. But the man who used to read bedtime stories in silly voices. Who used to dance with her in the kitchen. Who used to hold Theo on his shoulders and pretend they were flying. That man, she missed him too. And tonight she'd seen a flicker of him. In the hallway, on his knees, tears in his eyes, hand trembling as he touched his son's face. That man was still in there, buried, broken, but alive. The clock in her mind ticked. 7 minutes. She closed her eyes, thought of Theo's face when he saw Alexander. The way his eyes lit up. The way he whispered, "Papa," like he was afraid the word might disappear if he said it too loud. She thought of Alexander's face. The shock, the pain, the recognition, like he was seeing them for the first time since he'd left. Like he was remembering who he used to be. 8 minutes. Footsteps. Approaching. Slow. Deliberate. She opened her eyes. Alexander. Alone. Suit slightly rumpled. Bow tie loose. Eyes red-rimmed. He stopped in front of her. Didn't speak. Didn't sit. Just stood. Looking at her like she was a miracle. Or a ghost. Maybe both. Clara stood. Faced him. "What did you do with him?" His voice was rough. "Lena's with him. In the lounge. Eating chocolate ice cream. He's happy." She nodded. "Good." Silence. Heavy. Thick. Full of everything they hadn't said. Hadn't screamed. Hadn't forgiven. "He asked about you," Alexander whispered. "While we were eating. He asked if you were mad at him." Clara's breath caught. "What did you say?" "I told him you could never be mad at him. That you love him more than anything in the world." She looked down. "That's true. I know." Another silence. Then, "He asked why I left." Clara's head snapped up. "What did you tell him?" Alexander's eyes filled with tears. "I told him I made a mistake, the biggest of my life. And I'm so sorry." She didn't speak. Couldn't. Her throat was too tight. "He also asked," Alexander continued, voice breaking, "if I still love you." Clara froze, stared at him, waiting, dreading, needing. Alexander took a step closer. "I didn't answer him, not out loud, but I looked at him, and I thought, how could I not? You're his mother. You raised him alone. You kept him whole when I broke us. You're everything. Clara's vision blurred. She turned away. I don't want your pretty words, Alexander. Not tonight. Not after everything. I'm not asking you to want them, he said softly. I'm just telling you the truth. She faced him again. Why now? Why tonight? Was it the suit, the lights, the crowd did seeing us here? Dressed up, playing nice. Make you feel guilty, nostalgic? Was it the aesthetic of redemption? He flinched, then nodded. Maybe. First. But then, I saw him, and it wasn't about guilt, or nostalgia, or aesthetics. It was him. His voice. His smile. The way he still looks at me like I'm someone worth loving. Even after everything I've done. He stepped closer. And then I saw you, and I remembered what real love feels like. Not the kind that demands applause, the kind that shows up, even when it's hard, even when it hurts, even when the man you love doesn't deserve it. Clara's tears spilled over. She didn't wipe them away. Let them fall. Let him see. I didn't come here for you, she whispered. I came here for him, and for me, to prove I could walk back into this world and not break. But you weren't supposed to be here. You weren't supposed to see us. You weren't supposed to kneel. I had to, he said. I've been kneeling inside for a year. Tonight, I just let the world see it. 10 minutes. A voice called from down the hall. Clara, Alexander, Lena. With Theo. Clara turned. Theo came running, launched himself into her arms. I had ice cream, and Daddy let me have sprinkles. And he told me a story about a dragon. And he said he's gonna take me to the planetarium. Mama, can we go please? She held him tight, kissed his hair. We'll see, baby. Over his shoulder, she saw Alexander, watching them, eyes shining, heart in his hands. Lena stepped beside him, smiled at Clara. He's all yours. I'll handle the article, and whatever fallout is coming. Clara nodded. Thank you. Lena squeezed her arm. You okay? Clara looked at Alexander, then back at Lena. No, she whispered, but I will be. Sophia appeared at the end of the hallway, eyes blazing, lips curled. Alexander, the board is waiting. Your wife is waiting. Alexander didn't look at her. He looked at Clara. Theo. Then he turned to Sophia. Calm, clear, final. We're leaving. Sophia's face twisted. You're making a mistake. He smiled faintly. For the first time in a year, I'm not. He walked to Clara, didn't touch her, didn't try, just stood beside her, like he was asking permission. She didn't give it, didn't deny it. She just took Theo's hand and walked toward the exit. Alexander followed, not behind her, not in front, beside her. The rain had stopped. The city glittered. Theo chattered about dragons and planets and sprinkles. Clara didn't speak, didn't need to. She felt it. The shift, the crack in the dam, the first step on a road she didn't know where led. Alexander opened the car door for them, didn't get in, just stood there, watching, waiting. Clara buckled Theo in, turned to Alexander. What now? He met her eyes. I don't know, but I'm here. However you'll have me, as a father, as whatever you'll allow. She nodded, closed the door, got in the driver's seat, started the car, drove away. In the rearview mirror, Alexander stood in the rain. No umbrella, no coat, just watching, until they disappeared. And in the backseat, Theo whispered, Mama, does this mean Daddy's coming home? Clara didn't answer, didn't know, didn't dare hope. But for the first time in a long time, she didn't say no. The night was over, but the story, it was just beginning. And this time she wouldn't let him walk away. Not without a fight. Not without Theo. Not without her. The road ahead was dark, her heart still racing. Not from fear. Not anymore. From knowing that everything had changed. Knowing that the man who'd shattered their world was standing in the rain, watching them drive away. Not because he had to, but because he wanted to, because he chose to. She glanced in the rearview mirror. The Regent Hotel was gone. Alexander was gone. but his face still burned behind her eyelids. The way he'd looked at Theo, the way he'd looked at her, like he was seeing them for the first time, like he was remembering, like he was sorry. Theo stirred in the back. Mama, Did Daddy cry? Clara's throat tightened. She didn't answer right away, just kept driving, past streetlights, past midnight diners, past couples holding hands under umbrellas. He might have, she finally whispered. Theo was quiet for a moment. Then why? Clara swallowed. Because sometimes, when people realize they've hurt someone they love, they cry. Theo thought about that. Even daddies, especially daddies. He yawned. I cried when he left. Clara's vision blurred. She blinked fast. I know, baby. I didn't want him to be sad tonight. She glanced back. He was curled against the window, Mr. Snuffles tucked under his chin, eyes half closed. You didn't make him sad, sweetheart. You made him happy. Theo smiled faintly. Good. And just like that, he was asleep. Clara pulled into the apartment complex parking lot, killed the engine, sat in the silence, listened to Theo's soft breathing, felt the weight of the night pressing down on her. She didn't move, didn't unbuckle, didn't turn off the dome light. She just sat, staring at the steering wheel, thinking, remembering, feeling, the hallway, the light, the way Alexander had frozen when he saw them, the way his breath had caught, the way his hand had trembled when he reached for Theo, the way he'd knelt, not for show, not for Sophia, not for the cameras, for them, for his son, for her, for the life he'd thrown away. She unbuckled, got out, opened Theo's door, gently lifted him, warm, heavy, trusting, into her arms. He didn't wake, just nuzzled into her neck, murmuring something about dragons and stars. She carried him inside, up the stairs, past Mrs. Ruiz's door. The old woman peeked out, smiled, whispered, "Late night, Mija." Clara nodded. Very. Inside the apartment, she laid Theo in his bed, tucked the blanket around him, kissed his forehead, whispered, "I love you more than planets, baby." He sighed in his sleep, smiled. She walked to the kitchen, poured herself a glass of water, didn't drink it, just held it, stared out the window. The city was quiet now, peaceful, but inside her a storm. Her phone buzzed, on the counter. She didn't move. It buzzed again, and again. She walked over, picked it up. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer. Almost. But something instinct, hope, dread made her swipe. Hello, silence. Then a breath. Shaky. Raw. Clara, her heart stopped. Alexander. She didn't speak. Didn't breathe. Just listened. I didn't know if you'd answer. She closed her eyes. Why are you calling? I needed to know. If you got home okay. If Theo. If he's all right. We're fine. Another silence. Longer. Heavier. I'm still outside, he whispered. Your building. I didn't follow you. I swear. I just wanted to make sure you were safe. She looked out the window, down at the street. There, under the flickering street lamp, stood a figure. Tall, broad-shouldered, suit soaked, no umbrella, just standing, watching her window, waiting. Alexander. Why? Her voice broke. Why? What? Why now? Why tonight? Why him? Why me? Was it guilt? Was it the way we looked in the light? Was it because Sophia was cruel and you needed to feel like a good man again? He didn't answer right away. When he did, his voice was thick with tears. No, just that. One word. Heavy. Honest. Real. No, Clara. It wasn't guilt. It wasn't optics. It wasn't redemption theater. It was him. His voice. His laugh. The way he still looks at me like I'm worth something. Like I'm his. And you, God, Clara, you looked at me like you still saw me. Not the tycoon. Not the failure. Not the man who left. You looked at me like I was still Alexander. She pressed her forehead to the glass. Tears spilled. I didn't mean to, she whispered. I didn't want to see you. I didn't want Theo to see you. I didn't want any of this. I know, he said, but you came, and he came, and you let me take his hand. And that means everything. She didn't speak, couldn't. Her throat was too tight. I'm not asking for forgiveness, he continued. I'm not asking to come back. I'm just asking for a chance to be his father. However you'll let me, however you'll allow. I'll wait. I'll earn it. I'll crawl if I have to. She wiped her eyes, looked down at him, still standing, still waiting, still there. What if I say no, she whispered. Then I'll stand out here every night until you change your mind. She almost laughed. Almost. You're ridiculous. I'm desperate. Silence. Then, go home, Alexander. He didn't move. I don't have one. Her breath hitched. You have a penthouse, a wife, a life. I have a cage, he said softly. And tonight, I saw the door open. I'm not walking back in. She closed her eyes, felt the weight of his words, felt the truth in them, felt the danger, the hope, the possibility. I'll talk to Theo, she said finally. Tomorrow, I'll ask him what he wants. Alexander's breath shuddered. Thank you. Don't thank me. This isn't for you. It's for him. I know. Another pause. Then, Clara, I love you. She froze, didn't breathe, didn't move, didn't speak. He didn't wait for her to answer. I don't say that to make you stay, or come back, or forgive me. I say it because it's true, and because I never stopped. Even when I walked away, even when I married her, even when I pretended I didn't miss you. I love you, and I'm so sorry. She opened her mouth, closed it. No words, no sound, just tears. I'll go, he whispered. I'll leave you alone. But tomorrow, please, let me see him. Even if it's just for 5 minutes. Even if it's in a park. Even if you're there the whole time. Please. She looked down again. He was still there, waiting, begging, breaking. She nodded, even though he couldn't see her. I'll text you. Thank you. She ended the call. She stood there, for a long time, staring at the phone, at the street, at the man who'd destroyed her, and somehow still loved her. The next morning, Theo woke up singing. Not a song, a story. And the dragon said, I'll take you to the moon. And Daddy said, only if you promise to share your ice cream. And I said, deal. And then he stopped when he saw her, smiled, big, bright, unbroken. Morning, Mama. She sat on the edge of his bed. Morning, Dragon Rider. He giggled. Did you know dragons like sprinkles? I do now. He bounced a little. Can we see Daddy again today, please? Her heart cracked. She brushed his hair from his forehead. Do you want to? He nodded fast. Yes. He told the best story. And he listened to all my questions. And he didn't look at his phone. Not even once. She smiled faintly. That's good. Can we please? She took a deep breath. Okay. His face lit up, like the sun. Really, really, but we do it my way. No surprises. No Sophia. No cameras. Just you, me, and him. Theo threw his arms around her. Thank you, Mama. Thank you, thank you, thank you. She held him tight, felt his joy, his hope, his trust, and knew this wasn't just about Alexander. This was about Theo, about healing, about giving him the father he still believed in, even if that father was broken, even if that father didn't deserve it. She texted Alexander, Park, 3 p.m., bench near the duck pond, 30 minutes. I'll be there the whole time. His reply came instantly. I'll be there. Thank you. She stared at the screen, felt the weight of what she'd just done, felt the fear, the hope, the what if. She didn't know what would happen next, didn't know if he'd show up, didn't know if Sophia would follow, didn't know if this was the beginning or just another ending. But as she watched Theo skip around the apartment, still singing about dragons and ice cream and Daddy's stories, she knew one thing. She was no longer running, no longer hiding, no longer pretending. She was stepping into the light, and this time she wouldn't let go. Not of Theo, not of her heart, not of the man who'd broken it and was now, somehow, trying to put it back together. The storm wasn't over. He's gonna be here, right, Mama, he promised. She didn't look at him, didn't want him to see the tremor in her lips. Let's wait and see, sweetheart. Theo didn't seem to notice her tension. He was too busy chattering about the ducks, about the dragon story Alexander had told him last night, about how he'd drawn a new picture this morning. It's me and Daddy flying on a dragon. You're on the ground waving. I'll show you later. She nodded, didn't speak, couldn't. Her heart was a wild thing, fluttering, pounding, threatening to burst through her ribs. Every footstep on the path made her flinch. Every man in a coat made her breath catch. What if he doesn't come? What if he does? What if Sophia follows him? What if this breaks Theo all over again? What if he looks at me and I still love him? Then, there, at the bend in the path, tall, broad-shouldered, no suit today, just a charcoal sweater, dark jeans, scuffed boots, hair slightly messy, no sunglasses, no pretense, just him, Alexander, walking slowly, like he was afraid she'd vanish if he moved too fast. Theo saw him first. Daddy! He took off like a rocket. Clara didn't stop him. Couldn't. Her body was frozen, her breath gone. She watched as Alexander dropped to his knees, right there on the gravel path, and opened his arms. Theo crashed into him, laughing, crying, squeezing. I missed you. I missed you. I missed you. Alexander held him tight, buried his face in Theo's hair, shoulders shaking. I missed you too, buddy. So much. Every single day. Clara stood, slowly, heart hammering, feet moving before her mind could stop them. She stopped a few feet away, watched, listened, felt. Alexander finally pulled back, cupped Theo's face in his hands, smiled, real, raw, trembling. You look taller. Theo grinned. I ate all my broccoli. Alexander laughed, soft, broken, beautiful. That's my boy. He stood, still holding Theo's hand, looked at Clara, eyes red-rimmed, voice rough. Thank you for letting me come. She didn't smile, didn't nod, just stared, taking him in. The shadows under his eyes, the stubble on his jaw, the way his fingers trembled around Theo's small hand. He looked wrecked and real. And here, Theo tugged his father's hand. Come on. I want to show you the ducks. They know my name. Alexander let himself be pulled, walked to the pond's edge. Clara followed, a few steps behind, close enough to intervene, far enough to pretend she wasn't falling apart. Theo pointed excitedly. That one, the big one with the green head. His name is Sir Quacksalot. I feed him every Tuesday. Alexander crouched beside him. Impressive title. Does he knight other ducks? Theo giggled. No, he's the only knight. The others are peasants. Alexander grinned. Rebellious peasants. Yes. They laughed together. Clara's chest ached. She hadn't heard Theo laugh like that in over a year. Not forced, not polite, free, like he was whole again, like he was home. Alexander reached into his coat pocket, pulled out a small paper bag. Brought you something. Theo gasped. Is it ice cream? Nope. Better. He opened the bag. Inside, 2 chocolate chip cookies. Still warm. Theo's eyes widened. You remembered. Alexander nodded. You said last night they were your favorite. The ones with extra chips. Theo took one, bit into it, groaned. Perfect. Alexander smiled. Glad I got it right. He offered the other to Clara. She didn't take it. He didn't push, just held it there, patient, quiet, waiting. Theo finished his cookie, wiped his mouth, looked up at his father. Are you gonna come back like... For real? Alexander's smile faded. He looked at Clara, then back at Theo. I want to, more than anything. But it's not just up to me. Mama has to say yes too. Theo turned to Clara, big eyes, pleading. Please. Mama, please, please, please. She swallowed, looked at Alexander. He didn't beg, didn't plead, didn't promise, just waited, like he knew this was her moment. her choice, her power. She took a deep breath, knelt beside Theo, looked him in the eyes. If Daddy comes back, it won't be like before. No big parties, no fancy cars, no Sophia, just us, you, me, him, learning how to be a family again, slowly, carefully, and if he breaks your heart again, I'll take you away so fast he won't even see us go. Do you understand? Theo nodded fast. Yes, I promise. I'll remind him every day. No Sophia, no parties, just dragons and cookies and bedtime stories. She smiled faintly, looked at Alexander. You hear that? He nodded, voice thick, loud and clear. She stood, offered him her hand, not for romance, not for reconciliation, for agreement. He took it. His hand was warm, calloused, shaking. She didn't pull away. 3 rules, she said softly. 1, you show up, every time. No assistance, no excuses. 2, you listen. To him, to me, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. 3, if you hurt us again, you don't get a second chance. Not ever. He squeezed her hand. I swear, on Theo's life, on my soul, I won't break us again. She searched his eyes, saw the truth, saw the pain, saw the change. She nodded, released his hand. Okay. Theo threw his arms around both of them. Group hug, group hug. Alexander laughed, startled, joyful. Clara didn't laugh, but she didn't pull away. She let herself be pulled into the circle, felt Alexander's arm around her shoulders, felt Theo's small body pressed between them, felt the sun on her face, felt peace. They stayed like that for a long moment. Then Theo pulled back. Race you to the slide. He took off. Alexander started to follow. Clara grabbed his arm. He stopped, looked at her. She stepped closer, voice low, fierce. If you betray him, if you betray me, I will destroy you. I don't care how rich you are, how powerful. I will take everything from you, starting with him. Alexander didn't flinch, didn't look away. I know. She searched his face. Do you mean that really? He nodded. I walked away from my empire for him. I'll walk away from my life if I have to. He's all that matters. You're all that matters. She studied him, saw no lie, saw no performance, just truth. She nodded. Go. He's waiting. Alexander ran after Theo, not with the grace of a tycoon, with the joy of a father. Clara watched them, Theo climbing the slide, Alexander pretending to be a dragon at the bottom, Theo shrieking with laughter, Alexander catching him, spinning him, holding him, never letting go. She sat back on the bench, pulled out her phone, texted Lena. He's here, with Theo, at the park. He's different. Lena replied instantly. Good different or, I'm about to call the police. Different. Clara smiled faintly. Good different. For now, don't get soft on me, Vance. He's still a snake in a sweater. I know, but Theo's smiling, like really smiling, for the first time in a year. Then let him have this. But keep your boots on. Sophia's not gonna vanish because Daddy grew a conscience. Clara looked up. Alexander was pushing Theo on the swing now. Theo's laughter ringing through the park. Alexander's smile real, unfiltered, alive. She typed, I know, but for today, I'm letting him have this too. She didn't see the black SUV slow down at the edge of the park. Didn't see the tinted window roll down. Didn't see Sophia's eyes. Cold, calculating, furious, watching them from the shadows. Didn't see her phone rise, snap a photo, smile, whisper, got you. Clara didn't know, didn't feel the storm brewing, didn't sense the trap closing. All she saw was Theo, happy, whole, loved, and Alexander trying, fighting, coming back. It was enough, for now. But the night was coming. And with it, Sophia, the photo, the headlines, the war. Clara didn't know it yet, but this piece it was borrowed. And the bill was about to come due. She stood, walked toward them, toward her son, toward the man who'd broken her, toward the family they might become. One step at a time, one breath at a time, one moment at a time. The sun was setting, the ducks were quacking, Theo was laughing, and for the first time in a long, long time, Clara let herself believe maybe. She exhaled. You're imagining things. Paranoia. PTSD from a life lived under spotlights and lies. She turned back to Theo, still shrieking with delight as Alexander pushed him higher on the swing, his laughter ringing pure and bright against the quiet hum of the evening. Higher, Daddy! Higher! Alexander grinned, breathless, sleeves rolled up, hair tousled, completely unguarded. You're gonna fly to the moon, buddy. Clara smiled faintly, let herself lean into the moment, let herself believe just for a heartbeat that this could be real, that this could last. Then a voice, smooth, sweet, poison wrapped in silk. Well, isn't this domestic? Clara's blood turned to ice. She didn't need to turn. She knew. Sophia, standing at the edge of the playground, arms crossed, hips cocked, designer coat draped over her shoulders like a queen's mantle, hair perfect, lips painted, eyes sharp as shattered glass. Alexander froze. Theo's laughter died. The park seemed to hold its breath. Clara stepped forward, placed herself between Sophia and her son. Didn't speak, didn't blink, just stared. Sophia smirked. Relax, darling. I'm not here to ruin story time. I'm here to collect my husband. Alexander stepped beside Clara, voice low, steady. I'm not yours to collect. Sophia's smile didn't waver. Oh, sweetheart, you signed the prenup. You live in my penthouse. You wear my cufflinks. You are mine, whether you like it or not. Theo tugged Clara's sleeve. Mama? Who is that lady? Clara didn't look down. Someone who doesn't belong here. Sophia's gaze slid to Theo, cold, calculating. And this must be the child. Cute, small, inconvenient. Alexander moved fast, stepped directly in front of Theo, voice like steel. You don't speak to him, ever. Sophia laughed, light, airy, cruel. Or what, you'll divorce me, please. You don't have the spine, or the money, or the leverage. Clara finally spoke, quiet, deadly calm. Leave, now. Sophia turned to her. Or what, you'll call the police for what, a wife visiting her husband in public, how scandalous. She took a step closer. You think this changes anything? You think because he pushed your brat on a swing that he's suddenly a family man? He's bored, Clara. That's all. A midlife crisis with training wheels. He'll come back to me. He always does. Alexander turned to Clara, eyes pleading. I won't, I swear. I'm done with her. Sophia snorted. You said that last week, and the week before, and the night you cried into your whiskey because you missed his bedtime. Men like you don't change. You just relapse. Clara's hands curled into fists. She stepped forward, into Sophia's space, close enough to smell her perfume, close enough to see the flicker of fear behind her arrogance. You don't know him, Clara whispered. Not anymore, and you never did. You saw a brand, a bank account, a trophy. You never saw the man who reads dragon stories with silly voices, who remembers his son's favorite cookies, who kneels in hallways because he's finally learned how to beg. Sophia's smile faltered, just for a second. Then it snapped back sharper, colder. Cute speech. But guess what? The world doesn't care about your Hallmark movie redemption arc. They care about power, about image, about who owns what. And right now I own him. She pulled out her phone, tapped the screen, held it up. There, crystal clear, a photo. Alexander, kneeling in the lit hallway, hand on Theo's cheek, tears in his eyes. Clara standing beside them, face soft, vulnerable, hopeful. Clara's breath caught. Sophia smiled. Sent it to 3 major outlets 10 minutes ago. Should be trending by dinner. Title: Billionaire Tycoon's Secret Son and Scorned Mistress Reunite at Gala. Juicy, right? Alexander lunged for the phone. Delete it. Sophia danced back, laughing. Too late, darling. The internet never forgets. And neither will your shareholders. Clara's vision blurred. Her knees trembled, but she didn't break. Didn't scream, didn't cry. She turned to Alexander, voice shaking but clear. Is it true? Did you sign a prenup that locks you out of everything if you leave her? He looked at her, eyes full of shame. Yes, but I don't care. I'll sell my cars, my watches, my art. I'll live in a studio if I have to. I don't need any of it. I need you. I need him. Sophia clapped slowly. Bravo. Truly. Oscar-worthy. But let's be real. You think your little freelance writer and her discount store kid are gonna survive on your assistant's salary, please? You'll be begging to come back within a month. Clara turned to her. Calm. Cold. Final. You're right. We don't need his money. We never did. We survived without him. We'll survive without his fortune. But you need his name, his status, his empire. Without him, you're nobody. Sophia's face twisted. She stepped forward. You think you've won? You think this little picnic changes anything? He's weak. He's sentimental. He'll crawl back. And when he does, I'll make sure you never see him again. Not as a father. Not as a man. Not even as a name on a check. Alexander grabbed her arm. You're done. We're done. I'm leaving you. Tonight. I'll sleep in my car if I have to. But I'm not going back. Sophia yanked her arm free. Try it. See how far you get. Your board will freeze your accounts by morning. Your lawyers will bury you in clauses. And your precious son, she looked at Theo, small, wide-eyed, clutching Clara's leg. He'll learn what it means to have a father who chose poverty over power. Enjoy that. She turned to leave, paused, looked over her shoulder, smile venomous. Oh, and Clara, pack a bag, because by tomorrow the press will be camped outside your apartment. Hope you like living on camera. She walked away, heels clicking like a countdown. Alexander stood frozen. Clara's hands trembled. Theo whispered, Mama, is that lady gonna take Daddy away? Clara knelt, pulled him close. No, baby, never again. Alexander dropped beside them, voice raw. I'm so sorry. I didn't know she'd follow us. I didn't. Clara held up a hand. Didn't look at him. Looked at Theo. Do you want to go home? Theo nodded fast. Yes, please. She stood, took his hand. Alexander stood too. Clara, Not now. He flinched. She didn't care. Take us home, then leave. We'll talk tomorrow. Alone. He nodded. Okay. The car ride was silent. Theo fell asleep in the back, exhausted from emotion. Clara stared out the window, watching the city blur, watching the headlines begin to bloom on her phone screen. Breaking Vance heir reunites with secret son. Sophia Lauren Vance spotted confronting ex at park. Is the marriage over? Who is Clara Reed, the woman who stole Vance from his wife? She closed the app, closed her eyes, felt the weight of the world crashing down. Again. Alexander parked outside her building. Didn't speak, didn't move, just stared at the wheel. Clara unbuckled, got out, opened Theo's door, lifted him gently. Alexander stepped out too, walked around the car, stopped in front of her. I'll go, like you said, but I'm not giving up. Not on him, not on you, not on us. She looked at him, eyes tired, voice quiet. I know. He reached out, brushed a curl from Theo's forehead. I love you, buddy. I'll see you soon. Promise. Theo didn't wake, just nuzzled into Clara's shoulder. Alexander stepped back, looked at Clara. I'll sleep in the car tonight, or a hotel. I don't care. But tomorrow, I'll be here, however you want me, whenever you're ready. She nodded, turned, walked inside, didn't look back. Upstairs, she laid Theo in bed, tucked him in, kissed his forehead, whispered, You're safe, baby. I promise. He sighed in his sleep, smiled. She walked to the window, peered through the blinds. Down below, Alexander stood beside his car, head bowed, shoulders slumped, alone. The street lamp cast a golden halo around him, just like in the hallway, just like when he'd knelt, just like when he'd broken. And just like then, he looked up, straight at her window, like he knew she was watching, like he was waiting, like he was home. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She opened it. A text. You think you've won, but the war's just beginning. Clara didn't reply, just stared at the message, then at Alexander, then back at the text. She typed, "Bring it," sent it, deleted the number. She turned away from the window, walked to Theo's bedside, sat beside him, took his small hand in hers, whispered, "We're not afraid, not anymore." Outside the city,